Hi and welcome to today's video by Study Interface. Today we'll be talking about the GMAT Focus. Specifically, we'll be talking about 5 things that you must get right to excel at the verbal reasoning section of the GMAT Focus. The GMAT Focus is substantially different from the old GMAT, especially in the verbal reasoning. There is no more sentence correction in GMAT Focus, and therefore we have just reading comprehension and critical reasoning. The first thing you must do if you're planning to attend the GMAT Focus is to understand the layout of the verbal reasoning section. Now, the verbal reasoning section has just reading comprehension and critical reasoning. The passages in reading comprehension are a lot shorter and have just 3 or 4 questions from each. The critical reasoning questions are pretty much the same. The second thing you must do to excel at the verbal reasoning section of the GMAT Focus is to master the question types. Reading comprehension still has questions that test you on your understanding of main ideas, supporting details, the author's purpose, the author's tone and attitude, and also inferences that you can make from what the author has stated in the passage. Similarly, critical reasoning still has the big 3, that is, assumption, strengthen and weaken. In addition, questions like inference, paradox resolution, identifying the conclusion, completing the passage still exist in the GMAT Focus. So, familiarize yourself with all the reading comprehension question types and the critical reasoning question types to excel at the GMAT Focus. The third and a very important thing that you must do is develop strong reading comprehension skills. You will need these not just for reading comprehension but also for critical reasoning. Please realize that critical reasoning too comes with a passage, usually in the form of an argument. Being able to read this and being able to understand it completely is very important in critical reasoning too. So what are these reading comprehension skills that are very important for both the question types in verbal reasoning in the GMAT Focus? Read actively and critically. Note-taking is very important. Taking down all the most important points while you're doing reading comprehension. Breaking up the argument in your notes while you're doing critical reasoning is still a very important skill. In addition, getting the main idea, summarizing a passage into main ideas and supporting ideas is still a very important skill. Learning to identify the author's purpose, that is, why he is writing the passage. Is it to inform? Is it to argue? Or is it to analyze? Is also a very important skill. Recognizing the author's tone, whether it is a neutral tone or another tone, is also very important. Finally, vocabulary plays a very important part in both question types. The reading comprehension passages often use very advanced lexical resource of vocabulary. You must expand your vocabulary to include as many advanced words as possible. Number 4, another thing that you have to do to excel, particularly at critical reasoning, is hone your critical reasoning skills. Understand argumentation. Learn how to analyze arguments. Learn how arguments are structured. Understand the components that you can see in an argument, like premises and conclusions. Also, learn how to identify assumptions quickly. Learn how to identify the jump in reasoning that takes place whenever an assumption is made. In addition, recognize the 3 types of arguments in argumentative reasoning: causal reasoning, analogical reasoning, and statistical reasoning, and your ability to recognize these 3 is very important. Evaluating the strength and validity of arguments is another skill. Of course, all arguments in critical reasoning are still inductive, which means that the conclusion is only probable, not certain. But inductive arguments can vary depending on the strength of the premises and the conclusion drawn. Learn to recognize arguments that are weak and arguments that are a little stronger. Finally, learn some logical fallacies. Fallacies like circular reasoning, or post hoc ergo propter hoc, or unrepresentative sample are very commonly used in GMAT critical reasoning. Learn these fallacies, learn the typical assumptions, and learn to recognize them. Finally, building a really strong vocabulary. This is something we've discussed previously in this video, but now let me expand upon this. Learn new words regularly. Never skip past a word that you don't know when you're reading. Always go to your dictionary, research how it is used, its connotations, and also whether it is literal or figurative. Use flashcards, use vocabulary apps. There are plenty of them available nowadays. Use reading materials to expand your range of lexical resource. Focus on words that are relevant to the business context and also to the real life context. Thanks for watching this video. For more insightful videos like this, like, share and subscribe. To get your GMAT prep plans on track or to get your MBA plans on track, register at Study Unifees.